Okay, cool. So I'm Becca. I'm a product designer on the Defend team, and we're going to be talking about WAF Statistics Reporting. So just to cover what is Defend, it's the newest category, the newest age group here at GitLab, and the WAF is our first feature, our first release. Sam Kerr is the product manager. I just wanted to call out that Derek Ferguson has been filling in for him while Sam has been on paternity leave for the past couple of weeks. Sam will be coming back in February. So just kind of an overview of the stage groups at GitLab and how it corresponds to the workflow. There's kind of the security umbrella under which Secure and Defend both fall under. Secure is looking at security of an application before code is deployed, so trying to avoid bad actors being able to access applications, and then Defend is kind of where we're focused on, and it's post-deployment. So it's once the application is live, we still want to kind of monitor what kind of traffic is coming to the application and take any action if possible to avoid those bad actors doing bad things. So what does the WAF do? So WAF stands for Web Application Firewall, and there's a lot to say about this, but for the purpose of this presentation, what I want to cover is that it filters and monitors HTTP traffic to and from the web application. And what's important to understand here is that when it is enabled or turned on, it can be set to either blocking or logging mode. So what exactly does that look like? At a high level, essentially, the WAF will actively block suspicious traffic based on the user's configuration of the WAF. There's a lot of things within there that you can set, anomaly scores and paranoia thresholds, et cetera, et cetera. But on a high level, if you have legitimate traffic trying to access an application, the WAF will look at things like IP address and other factors and say, okay, you're good to go, I'll let you through. However, if the WAF is in blocking mode and it suspects something potentially malicious, it will block that user and not let them access the application. However, there's also another mode, there's logging mode. So it doesn't necessarily block in logging mode. It takes a look at some factors from that request, and it will log it. And so what that does is essentially it lets the application owner look at the type of traffic that's coming in and decide whether or not they want to block that application. So usually when a WAF is enabled, what we've heard a lot of people do is they'll just set it up in logging mode first to see what kind of traffic is coming through the application or trying to hit the application coming through the WAF. And then they can turn on blocking mode and set certain parameters to try to avoid false positives. So a little bit about the process of how we arrived at MVC of this feature. Started out by doing a competitive analysis, basically asking ourselves, what's the industry standard for showing this data? What kind of data is shown in what ways? What are the actions that can be taken from these pages? So essentially, as most of you are familiar, as designers, we're trying to find commonalities among the UX of what we've identified as reputable competitors. And so this helps us understand what users' expectations will be when they start using the WAF that GitLab is offering. So we can make some assumptions from there and then verify. Part of that verification process is doing research. So large thanks to Tali, our brilliant UX researcher, we were able to talk to 5 WAF administrators. They have various titles, but essentially they're responsible for setting up the WAF and configuring it for their applications within their companies. So from this research, we were able to identify what are the core jobs to be done that we're seeing, common user journeys. We asked them about likes and pain points that they're currently experiencing in their tools. And so there's the implementation of the WAF that we asked them about. There's the configuration, there's usage of it, and then anomaly investigation, which kind of goes into the security operations world and incident response. And so from there, we came up with our own jobs to be done. I'll just go over these quickly. The first one, when I activate my WAF for the first time, I want to see its output so that I can verify that it's working and begin monitoring for anomalies. So that's those potentially bad actors coming through trying to access the application. And then we have when I first install a WAF on a new application, I want to tune it based on current and historical data so I can be proactive and plan for future events. So the world of security is both proactive and reactive. And we talk to a lot of people in security, both internal at GitLab and externally. And they don't want everything to just be putting out fires. They want to be able to come up with a strategy to avoid those fires in the first place. And so you can do that to some extent with the WAF as well. And then finally, when I am investigating an incident, I want to be able to see the big picture as well as granular information so I can formulate an accurate response plan. So from there, now that we understand who the user is, what their needs are, we went into coming up with some wireframes. And so we tied in our findings from the competitive analysis and research and asked ourselves, what actions would the user want to take from this page? How should this information be organized? What information can we communicate in this iteration? And in what ways do we want to do that? So that kicks off an iterative process with design reviews, with the product managers, other designers, and then along the way, we're incorporating feedback from technical writers and engineers. So from there, we came up with our MVC design, which is going to launch in 12/7, we hope. That is the goal. So this is essentially where we landed for the first iteration. So you have an alert bar at the top with a link to documentation where essentially you can view the logs from the WAF. And this kind of lays the groundwork for what's to come in the future. So in the future, we'll be able to parse those logs into a more consumable format within this page. For now, we're just kind of kicking users over to the documentation so they can learn more about how to do that. And then below that, you have some filters for the WAF where you can narrow down into your environment and then a date range. We default to 30 days. I think it goes down to an hour or so, and then up to a few months. And so for MVC, we're able to collect the anomalous requests coming through the WAF, as well as the total requests. And then they can drill down into the anomalous requests through those logs that I mentioned before. And so this lays the groundwork for, like I said, more things to come, mode detection and classifications, type of traffic coming through the WAF, parsing the WAF logs, and custom WAF rule set configuration. So that's where you get things like the paranoia, the anomaly score, and the paranoia level setting, as well as a number of other things that that you can tune in the WAF. So that's it. Just special thanks to Sam, the principal product manager. Lucas Charles has been incredibly helpful in trying to catch a noob security person up on how all of these things work on the back end and how we can translate that to the user experience and UI. Andy has been an incredible resource for me, as well as Holly for all of her wonderful research help.